Hello, I'm Ron Miscavige, and this is Life After Scientology. And welcome to this program. Now, just to take care of a little business, let me start off with this. I'd like to acknowledge the new Patreons. And so, without any further words, here they are. It's Rosalind Lehman, $2. Thank you very much, Rosalind. Very much appreciated. And then we have Richard Deneen. I hope I pronounced your name right. If not, send in a correction. Richard Deneen, $10. And thank you very much, Richard. Very much appreciated. And then there's Jessica Moffat, who's Patreon for $2, but she also donated $25. Thank you very much, Jessica. Very much appreciated. Now, for those of you who don't know what Patreon is this. If you go to my website, therealronmiscavige.com, you can see there's a window you can pull down and you can become a patron, which is you donate so many dollars per month. It could be anywhere from $1 up to, like $2, $5, $10, $100, $1,000, whatever you'd like to donate. And you do this every month. And you're contributing to the ongoing show that I'm doing here, which is the I'm exposing the abuses that the Church of Scientology did. And we're going to get into other religions who have similar practices. But for right now, this is just those abuses of the Church of Scientology. So if you'd like to do that, it is very much appreciated. Sean and I are working on our own dime. We don't have a sponsor, and I don't want a sponsor for only one big reason, and that is this. I did interviews with 2020. Well, that was the one I should bring to mind. I did it with Late Night with Seth Meyer, with many others, Australian TV, whatever. And in 2020, I was interviewed for over 8 hours. They used maybe 18 minutes of what I said, and I never got my story out. It wasn't what I wanted to say. So this program is designed for those of you who have a story to tell of abuse. You can come on. Of course, I have to invite you, but get in touch with me. And if you go to my website, therealronmiscavige.com, you can see how to get in touch with me. You can come on and tell your whole story. I won't edit it. I won't throw you under the bus. I'll treat you with respect, except an anarchist or some goddamn thing. I'm not going to have you on. But if you have a legitimate bitch, come on. You're welcome, and you can tell the whole story.
I just want to interject real quick on that, Ron. With the patrons, there was a question. Can you become an anonymous patron? Yes, you absolutely can.
Yes. Yep. The question is, can you become an anonymous patron? Absolutely, you can. And you can do this, I guess it's on their credit card, right? Sure.
Yeah. You just go to Patreon and sign up. You can use a fake name. You can just put in anonymous. I mean, yeah.
But I will acknowledge you as anonymous so you'll know who you are. You will get acknowledgement. So I welcome all of you who'd like to contribute this. And I can tell you this. If you do this, you're going to feel a little bit better about what's happening, what we're talking about. And I'll tell you why. You're doing something about it. I mean, you don't have to do this, but if you do, mark my words, you're going to feel good, even if it's only $1 a month. You know what? I'm contributing something to bringing about a little bit of justice in a goddamn, really flock of injustices that the church has foisted upon people. Okay? So that's the story about becoming a Patreon. But now, before we get into the questions, I want to tell you, this is an anniversary month. Now, here's what I mean by that. 5 years ago, in August, there was one of the private investigators who was brought up before a federal court in western Wisconsin on the charge of carrying a silencer on a rifle in his trunk, and he had been following me. Let me back up and give you a little bit of this story because some of you haven't read my book and you might not know this. And by the way, if you want to get the whole story on this, this is in my book, Ruthless. You can see it here. You go to my website. There's a link where you can just order it. What happened is this. I escaped from the church on March 25th, 2012. About 1 year later, 1 year and change, in August, there was a guy who was snooping around a house around the corner from mine, and he was going to buy it. The Church of Scientology was going to let him buy the house so he could spy on me from his window and anytime I was home. Then if I left, he could come and spy on me throughout the day. A neighbor saw this, and a good neighbor in Wisconsin, where people look after each other. I got to tell you, it's a wonderful place to live. I enjoy living here more than any other place I've ever lived in my life. She called the cops and said, listen, I think there's a drug dealer out here or something. This guy's snooping around the house. So the West Dallas police come out. It's actually a guy by the name of Nick Pye, who is now a lieutenant with the West Dallas police, and a hell of a gentleman. Really nice guy, has a great family. His kid's a wrestler, and he's a champ at it. I'm putting a commercial for you, Nick. Nick Pye confronted this guy and said, what are you doing? So the guy started giving him some crap. And, am I breaking the law? He got, smart alecky. So Nick says, hey, man, you're under arrest. Can I look in the trunk of your car? So he looked in the trunk of the private investigator's car. The guy's name was Dwayne Powell, and he worked with his son, Daniel Powell. They were as a team of 2 private investigators. He looked in the trunk, and in the trunk, he found 5 license plates from different states, 5 handguns, a stun gun, 2 rifles, 1 fitted up with the silencer, and over 2,000 rounds of ammunition. And at that point, he went in for questioning. And by the way, if you want to hear all the things I'm going to tell you, you go to my website, and that entire interrogation by Nick Pye and alcohol, tobacco, and firearms agent Rick Hankins is on my website. You can hear what I'm telling you. He took him in and found out the guys were being paid $10,000 a week to follow me by the Church of Scientology. Okay? One of the stories they told was this. I was out shopping at a store called Aldi's in Janesville, which is about 40 minutes away from where I live right now in West Dallas, Wisconsin. It was the summer, and I had a pocket T-shirt on, and I was bringing groceries out to the car. So I get to the car, I open up the door, and I'm going to put the groceries in the car, and I bent over to do this, and my cell phone, which is in my pocket T-shirt pocket, I thought was going to fall out. So I grabbed it so it wouldn't fall out. Were looking at me from their blacked out window van. And the one said to the other, it looks like the target, that's how they refer to me, the target. It looks like the target is having a heart attack. What should we do? So Dwayne, the father, said, we're going to call in. So they called in, spoke to a guy named Greg. Greg says, I'll get somebody back to you in a minute. A couple of minutes later, a gentleman come on the phone, identified himself as David Miscavige, who was my father, who was the current leader of the church. And he said to the PIs, because he had already been informed that it looked like I was having a heart attack. He said to them, if it's his time to die, let him die. Don't intervene. Don't do anything. And that was my son. This was revealed to me later on when Nick brought me in to tell me these guys that they arrested and tell me about the guys they arrested and what they were doing. Nick said to me at one point, look, do you have any idea why they're following you? And I said, well, look, my son is the head of the church, so I'm a high profile, so maybe they're worried about me going to the media, which I hadn't gone to the media. All I wanted to do was get on with my life. And I says, and maybe my son is concerned about my health. And Nick says, Ron, I don't know how I'm going to tell you this, but I got to tell you because this is what they said. And he told me about David telling the PIs, just don't intervene. Let me die. That's the Church of Scientology. Now, this month is the anniversary of this. Dwayne Powell was brought before a federal court in western Wisconsin. He was given a 5-year probationary period that if he behaved himself, he would get off. And if he didn't, he was going to, I guess, start making some license plates at one of the federal prisons. What they did, though, when they arrested him is the West Dallas police downloaded all the data from his briefcase, any from his phone. So any reports that he was making and sending to the church about my daily activities, and he sent in a report every day, what the church wanted to do was get it destroyed. And here's what they did. They went to an attorney in Madison. And it turns out the guy was a shyster. And I found this out from a friend of mine who knew the guy personally. That shyster attorney got the judge to give a writ saying that the West Dallas police have to turn over to this PI they sent to get all of the data from the guy's from the guy's computer, from his phone, turn it over to the guy, destroy any copies they had, and retrieve any copies they sent out to media, which were numerous. In other words, what they were trying to do was make believe that the thing never happened. And if they got all of this data, they could come on, well, as a matter of fact, an attorney for them, Michael Herzog, come on TMZ shortly after this and said, he's speaking for the church. He says, this is provable bullshit, like that never happened. The guy went to the West Dallas police and they were about to give him all this data. And Ricky Hankins, the AT&F guy, reminded Nick Pye, the arresting person who did the interview. He says, Nick, listen, we have a writ that says we have to keep this until the end of 5 years. So they stopped it, so they never got the data, so they could never pull that off. I have documented proof of this. I have the writ that the state court judge wrote demanding the return of this. And of course, he was never told about the federal court ruling about the probationary period. And this is the month they will get anything that the West Dallas police has or the federal prosecutors have. So that's the anniversary. And I wanted to tell that story to you because some of you might know this, but that actually happened. And this is actually a point in my life that changed me. It changed me from this. I left the church. I wasn't going to do anything except get on with my life and see if I could get back in communications with my daughters, because both of my daughters, their children, and my great-grandchildren have all disconnected from me. So there's a little bit of a story. I wanted to get it out to you, and that's the end of that. So let's get on with the questions. Here we go. Go on, Sean.
All right. So Jessica Moffat, she became a $2 patron and she donated $25, which is really nice. She also sent you an email, so I figured we'd just start with her email. Does that work for you?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, so her first question is, do you believe Shelley Miscavige is alive?
Do I believe Shelley Miscavige is alive? That's a question from Jessica Moffat. Yeah, I believe she's alive. I think it would be too much of a cover-up if she were to die and nobody say anything about it. But now that's just my personal opinion. And I could be wrong. I reserve the right to be wrong on that. But my personal opinion is, yes, I think she's still alive.
Would you have Mike Rinder on your show?
Oh, I absolutely will have Mike Rinder on the show. As a matter of fact, I called him over a month ago, and he said he was really busy morning till night. He was out in LA, and he said, Ronnie, I'm shooting all day, and I'm in the editing booth all evening. He said, my kids come out here and my wife, and I've seen them for a total of about 2 hours. So he says, maybe once we're through shooting, I'll come on and do an interview with you.
That's the aftermath, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Mike Rinder and Leah Remini are the producers of a show called Scientology, The Aftermath, which is on A&E. And they're in their third season now. And it's a very, very, very good show. These are two genuinely good people. I mean, they're good at heart. Leah, as beautiful as she is a tough cookie, man. She's from Brooklyn. That's like being from South Philly, you know? And she's not taking any shit, and she's not taking any prisoners. She's coming out full blast, and Mike is on the show as a technical consultant and as a co-producer. And by the way, as an aside, I know Mike Rinder since he's 15 years old. I met him and his family when I went to England in 1973 with my family. And him and his parents were just genuinely good people.
And she asks, would you bring Tony Ortega back even to update current stories or observations?
Yes, I would bring Tony Ortega back because I thought he was an interesting interview. He's a hell of a person. I mean, he has quite a history. Some of the things he told, I didn't know. So it was a very revealing interview about some of the little things about the past, about when he was a kid growing up and the stuff he got into, which I enjoy hearing. And I will definitely have him on again. Let's say if we have a couple bombshells and maybe I'd like to get him on to fill in the details. I will call him and ask him to come back on.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have him do like a news section.
Oh, what section?
Like a news segment. Tony Ortega News,
Yeah. Okay.
Do you believe Tom Cruise and other Hollywood actors are aware of how badly Sea Org staff, etc., are being treated, especially those on base and compounds?
There is no way they couldn't know it. It's not possible for them not to know it. But here is the problem. If they were to watch any of these things, they have to do it really in a secretive manner because they go in for regular interrogations. They call them security checks. And they go on an e-meter, and they all think this e-meter is like a Ouija board, that it tells all, that, you can't hide anything from it, which is baloney. And I'll tell you why. My wife and I talked about leaving for a good year before we left. She had been going in for interrogation for a year, and none of it was exposed. So do they know about it? They can't not know about it as far as I'm concerned. But I'll tell you this. They're shackled. They have stainless steel chains on their feet, on their ankles, stainless steel handcuffs on, in the form of this, their own mind. And that is the best trap you can trap somebody. If you can control a person's mind, you don't need shackles. You don't need barbed wire fences. They're their own prisoners. They are a prisoner of what they believe in. And these celebrities all think that what they're doing is going to benefit all of mankind. Now, you got to be a real horse's ass to believe this. Excuse my French. Well, not excuse it. I meant to say that. What the hell, you got to be a real horse's ass to think that's happening, when if you were just to go into 1, 2, or 3 organizations, just drop in and casually see that there's nobody on course, or maybe 1 or 2 people, yet on these events that they have, it's being saying that this is the greatest dissemination period in the history of Scientology. Maybe in somebody's mind it is, but in reality, it's not that. So do they believe it? I don't. Do they know about it, about the abuses? Yeah, I would absolutely say there's no way they can't know, but they won't do anything about it because they actually think it's for the greater good, or some horseman or like that.
The last question from Jessica was, have there been any rescue missions in the past to help people get out of the compounds?
You mean like somebody go in there, charge the gates or something?
I'm assuming that's what she means, yeah.
No, not that I know of. Not any. And as a matter of fact, I'll tell you, Jessica, I hate like hell to say this, but I'm going to. And I've said it many times. If you were to take an armored car and crash the gates of that international compound in Hammett, tell the people there, look, if you get on the bus, we'll give you $10,000. We'll train you on some skill that you can exchange in life so you can get a job. We'll provide a place for you to live on a temporary basis till you get on your feet. I am telling you, I don't know if anybody would get on that bus or that armored car.
Yeah.
And as I say, let's refer back to what I said about controlling a person's mind. That's the reason. They actually think that they're doing the greatest good by staying there. I pity them. I really do. I mean, because some people I miss, other people, if I never saw them again, it would be too soon. But some of the people that I was very friendly with, I do miss their friendship and the talks we used to have just about life in general. So,
yeah. Okay, so we'll go to the chat. Just so everyone knows, in the chat, I will go down in order. Now, if you send a super chat, it's the little $ next to the chat box that'll actually take it to the top. So your question will go to the top. It's a cool feature. I've used it a lot of times to support a lot of the YouTubers. A lot of the YouTubers have been demonetized. We're in a new age where YouTube's not paying anymore. So that's just a nice way you can help other people that are on YouTube. So
Right.
all right. So we got Kyle Holworth. Hey, keep it up. 3 questions. Okay, Kyle. Try and get to all 3. If that's okay. Do you know when you will have Mike Rinder on your show? Okay, we kind of covered that.
Yeah, I covered that earlier. And
Yep.
Mike, he's probably he's still busy working on Scientology, the aftermath. So as soon as he gets a hold in his schedule, I'll have him on.
Yeah. And then number 2 was, do you know the release date of the Aftermath season 3?
It's going to be this fall. The exact date itself, I don't know, but it'll be in the fall. It won't. I heard earlier that it was going to be in the summer, and that was a false report. But it will be in the fall, maybe October, something like that.
And then finally, if David left, do you think Scientology would end, or someone would take it over? And if so, who?
Okay, the question is, if David left, do I think Scientology
would it fall apart?
As it stands, yes. As it is now, where they have these grandiose talks where he has a stage decorated like the Roman Colosseum. And by the way, all those columns, they're styrofoam. I guess everybody does it in the movies. I think it would fall apart. As far as somebody taking it over, I don't think anybody has the gall to come out in front of people and tell the bald-faced lies that are told about the expansion of it. I think they'd have to come honest with their public and say, listen, we're going to cut back to things we can deliver, not promises we can't keep. This is all conjecture on my part. So that's my opinion. Yes, I think it would fall apart. And if anybody took it over, they have one hell of a job to rescue it. It would be like trying to rescue a whale single-handedly,
Yeah. DJ Better asks, looking forward to your show this morning, Ron. Lots of love to you from Northern Illinois. Do you get to see any of your grandkids?
Well, not from my 2 daughters, but one of their children had 2 kids, 2 little boys, and they're down in Florida. I saw them a couple times, but those are the only ones I've ever. They're actually my great-grandchildren, and I saw them, maybe twice. But the other ones, my 2 daughters, Lori and Denise, their kids, my grandchildren, and their children, which is my great-grandchildren, I haven't seen or spoken to any of them. As a matter of fact, I don't even know how many great-grandchildren I have by those 2 daughters of mine.
Okay. Which is extremely sad.
It's actually terrible.
Yeah.
It's actually terrible that you would use that as leverage to keep you in line, because it will do anything.
Oh, and I saw their new video on their website where they talk about how important family is to them. I got to show you this thing. You'll kind of get a.
No, I've heard about that, but it is such a lie.
Yeah.
It's like Hitler saying, well, I really admire the Jews.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But to lose your family, which is the most precious thing you have in life, on that alone, they should be driven out of business. Not just taken, but just shut your goddamn doors and close up shop. Go get a job someplace and forget about this, and let everybody reconnect with each other. And it would be a glorious day for mankind. They're bad people.
Scared of Scientology asks.
Wait, say this again.
Scared of Scientology.
Oh, okay, that's the handle.
His or her
Scared of
name.
Scientology.
Yep. What do public people think happens when they donate to build ideal orgs? Like, what is it supposed to accomplish with all of these buildings?
What it's supposed to accomplish is this: either to buy the building or to renovate it. And there's various steps in this. They have, first of all, the purchase of a building, and then they celebrate if all the renovation plans are done. That's another celebration. And that is another excuse to get more money from people to pay the architects to do their job to renovate it. And then the last part would be to have the renovations done and open up the org as an ideal org. Look, the idea of an ideal org is a good idea. To have one portion of the org, about a third of it, to show all the good deeds that the church has done or the Church of Scientology has done. But it's a lie. And all these things they talk about are just ways to get more money from people. I mean, like the volunteer ministers, they reg, that means to get money. A reg is a person, it's short for registrar, and they take money from public for services or for donating to a higher status, either in the International Association of Scientology or for a building. You can become a building member, whatever the goddamn names are they give them. And these are all based on a lie. The volunteer ministers, they collect money for various bad things that are happening to send volunteer ministers there. Yet the volunteer ministers who go pay their own way. They're not given any money by the church, yet they collect money on the pretense they're going to give money so volunteer ministers can get down there. That's just one example. But if you were to pull apart all the things that they say as opposed to what they do, it's a church of lies. And they do it with a straight face, and they're wonderful at it. You know, they're bald-faced liars.
Dr. Phelps asks, "Hi, Ron. What do you know about composer David Campbell, his son Beck, and their involvement in the church?"
Dr. Felt, is that the guy's name?
Phelps, yeah.
Felt, okay.
Phelps.
What do I know about David Campbell? Is a composer?
Yep.
And his son
and his
Beck?
son Beck, yeah.
Okay. Well, I knew David Campbell personally, and he's a real gentleman. I got to tell you that. And his, I wouldn't say claim to fame, but his real expertise is his string arrangements. They are so brilliant and so simple that, like, when he does them, he'll just do it like kind of little freehand thing, making little notes there. I've seen him do this. And then they're orchestrated. And when the string section does it, they're very, very unique. They sound like $1 million. And I know he does all of the string arrangements for Willie Nelson whenever Willie Nelson does an album.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And many other people in Hollywood hire him just for his string arrangements. And he's a hell of a viola player, not a violin, a viola, which is pitched a little bit lower than a regular violin. And I've seen him perform, and he plays Orange Blossom Special. I guess you country western fans out there, you know, goes, that's bad imitation, but the guy is great at it, and he's a great entertainer. My experience with him has been nothing but good. Now, Beck, I know from hearing him play. I think I've spoken to him once personally, but I was at Celebrity Center where he gave a concert to the church people there. And it's funny because he'll do it as a solo artist at times, and he has a drum machine. I mean, you think this isn't going to go down. He has a drum machine and also acoustic backup tracks.
Yeah.
Really unique, and a unique composer. His songs are very different. And I would consider him a brilliant composer.
Yeah, he was incredibly popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
In the alternative music world. And it's funny, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know he was in Scientology at that time.
He doesn't advertise it.
Yeah.
So he's not
just smart, I think.
He's not what I would call a card-carrying Kool-Aid drinker of Scientology. I don't think he denies it but he doesn't advertise it, and he doesn't promote it.
It's like how Prince was a Jehovah's Witness. Like nobody really knew.
Well, even I didn't know it until this moment. How come you didn't tell me this? Well, hey, what kind of producer are you? Come on.
Yeah, he was the most liberal Jehovah's Witness ever. I mean, it was.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
wait, did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And he also said, "And much love from Denmark. Love your heartfelt interviews. Keep it going. I'll keep watching."
Hey, that's fabulous. And thank you for writing in a question. I appreciate that.
Hope O says, "Hello, Ron. You and your wife are kind, good people. Keep up doing what you are doing. Is there any chance that you could communicate with David? Would he ever respond?"
There is 0 to none chances that David will ever communicate with me. And even if I were to write to him, it would be no response. I just don't do it because it's like yelling down a well. You're not going to get somebody answering from the bottom, who lives in a well. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, he's lost to me. He's gone to the Netherlands. And I say that in the meaning of the word, meaning like the underground,
mm-hmm.
the bad side, the dark side.
The Amazing Hoodie asks or states, "Hello, Ron. As an Irishman, I'm aware Scientology has presence in my country and has for a while. Could you possibly share what you know about the Irish branch of the cults?"
Okay. What's his name?
The Amazing Hoodie.
The Amazing Hoodie, an Irishman. Well, this I know. And this is, hang on, let me get a little water. And this is said by the Englishman about Irish. The Irish lad who goes to the United States and then comes back to see his parents, when he gets off the plane and he goes to Ireland, what he'll do first is go in a pub and have a pint of Guinness. Then he calls his parents. It's just, I'm sorry, that's a bad joke, but it's just funny. What do I know about their presence in Ireland? I don't think, and this is a personal opinion now, I don't think it's going to go down. I don't think the Irish are that gullible that they think these promises that are made by the church are ever going to come true. And I'm saying about becoming a supernatural being. You still have a presence of religion in Northern Ireland, whether it's Protestantism or Catholic. And boy, there's a divide there. There's a hell of a divide. They fight each other. And they're good fighters. I'd say that about the Irish. Then they enjoy a good fight. I don't think it's going to hang on. They're building an org there. Or they may have built it now, or they're buying one. It's in progress. So I have very little factual data on it, but that's my personal opinion that I don't think it's going to go down.
Okay. Uretta Hall says, "Hi from Tennessee."
You say Uretta?
Yeah. I hope I'm getting that right.
How is it spelled?
Jueretta.
All right. Uretta. Yeah. Very unusual name.
Yeah. Faye Lambert says, "Hello from Australia."
Good.
Angie T says, "Hi, Ron from the UK." Wow, you just got all over the world.
Yeah, there's Australia. Hey,
that was Tennessee, Australia.
No worries, mate, to my friend down in Australia. No worries, mate. And I would love to have, what is it? I have Marmite. Vegemite. I think that's what the Australians eat. But I have, because I haven't been able to get Vegemite over here. Why? Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know where to go to get it, but I can get Marmite, and I have a jar in my kitchen, and every once in a while, maybe once a week, I'll have some Marmite, with butter on a piece of bread. And I'll tell you, you either like it or you hate it. That's how that goes. And I like it. Anyway, go on, Sean.
Yeah. Dr.
Oh, and wait, in UK?
Yeah, in the UK, yeah.
I'll tell you what I miss. Steak and kidney pie.
Yeah.
I used to have it over there, and I loved it.
I'm just kind of getting through some of this here. Faye Lambert, loved your interview on the Joe Rogan Experience. Your story is so interesting.
Thank you, Faye Lambert.
Yeah. Not Justin says, "I just love that Ron is doing this on his own. No HBO, just a person speaking out of his out on his own."
Well, that's good. And That is a purpose that I had started when I was told by Nick Pye, and I heard the interview they actually did with the PIs, that David said, when it looked like I was having a heart attack, if it's his time to die, let him die. Don't intervene. Don't do anything. And if you want to hear this interview, just go to my website and you'll see the police interview, and you can hear the interview with the father and the son by Nick Pye and Ricky Hankins. And that probably planted the seed for me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And until I met Sean, I had no way to pull it off. And that's my producer and my manager, and he's the one reading off the questions to you.
Yeah.
I couldn't have found a better friend to do this than you, Sean.
Oh, well, thanks,
Let me
Ron.
say it on the air. Okay?
That's really nice. That's really
well,
nice.
it's deserved. It isn't like
Yeah.
I'm pumping you up something. I ain't trying to borrow money from
Well,
you.
and we, we've talked to some people in Hollywood and stuff, but no one's really ready to push the button, I guess, on this. That's why I give A&E a lot of credit, because they actually have followed through with the Leah show. But outside of that, I still see outfits constantly scared to just even talk about Scientology. They're just scared to talk about it. I mean, I can't tell you how many creators and producers I've met that they said, yeah, we're not touching that. They're scared.
I know they're scared, and there's no reason to be scared.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be scared.
Yeah.
You fear something, it has power over you.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
I just don't believe in being afraid and not confronting somebody. That's the first step in handling something.
Yeah.
You got to confront it, and then you can handle it. But if you don't have the balls to confront it, no, you'll never handle it. And you're going to run around with your tail between your legs your whole life.
Right.
No way to live.
Right. And that's why I gave Joe Rogan so much credit for not only having you on, but also Leah, both of you guys.
Yeah.
But, and a couple other ex-Scientologists. But they got to him too. They bullied right through his producer and got him the statement. They spooked him a little, I think.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
It's a shame, because Joe Rogan, you meet the guy, you wouldn't want to tangle with him physically. No. He's a rough looking character. I don't mean he's a handsome man. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as far as his physical features, he's built like a brick shit house, as they used to say.
Yeah, he constantly works out. Yeah. Retta Hall says, didn't Lisa Marie go into flag standing up for Ron? I'm not sure what that means. Lisa Marie Presley.
Yes, she did.
Oh,
it's in the book.
I didn't know. Oh, that's right.
It's in the book. If you haven't read it, I tell that story in the book.
Right.
Yeah, she stood up for me, and with RTC, and I'm sure David was looking in on a video on that, and said, you talk about family being valuable. Yet you're not letting the head of the church enjoy his family in his later years. She didn't say those exact words, but I'm just paraphrasing what she did, and it was very brave of her. She's a gutsy person. Lisa Marie is very gutsy.
Yeah. And
she very outspoken. Unfortunately, since she broke off with her husband, it's kind of been radio silence.
Hand Stitched Life asks a really good question. To your knowledge, do ex-Scientologists turn to other mainstream religions when they leave, or are most just done with systems of belief? That's a really good question.
Okay, and what's the person's name?
Hand Stitched Life.
Hand Stitched Life?
Yep.
I got to say, people come up with these creative handles. It's great. So do they turn to other religions? I would say in most cases, no. They just get on with life. Like in my case, I left. Well, what I did is, and this name was given to me by a fitness guru by the name of John Peterson. He has a website, and he puts out books on fitness. He's coming out with a new course on fitness on September 1st, which is going to be a dynamite course in nutrition and everything. I know him personally, and I really enjoy his company. I know him for about maybe 15 years. I never met him once. It's only on the phone or maybe on a Skype that I know the guy. But he told me about a book written by a guy in the early 1900s called The Master Key System. And this is a philosopher that gave his take on life. and a supreme intelligence. He didn't call it God, but you could call it God, but a supreme intelligence and his take on that. Well, boy, I'll tell you, that opened up a treasury of just wonderful authors. And I tell their names in my book, in the back of the book. I give this as reading that you can take up. This is an area of life that always has interested me. I was always interested in what's this all about? Why are we here? The standard questions. And I'm getting answers from these authors. And you can get it on Kindle. Some of these you can get for 99 cents for a guy's complete works. They can't copyright it because it's 75 years after the guy died.
Mm-hmm.
So all they can do is make some money by offering, in some cases, print, but a lot of cases, electronic versions. So that's what I did. I looked for answers in other places and found them from reading these books of these old-time authors that they spoke about this from about 1850 until about the 1930s. It's a great area, and if you want to read about it for yourself, I would advise it tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other agenda to it. You're not going to get sucked into some goddamn cult and go bankrupt by contributing to something that they've convinced you is going to save everybody. So that's what I did, and I think some people just said to hell with religion and get on with their life. And I think some did what I did. They're looking for other things. And some people have gone back to Catholicism,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of an incomplete answer, but that's as best as I can
Well, I
give
think
anybody.
it's an individual decision. I think everyone makes a different decision. Now, the nice thing about what you're doing and what Leah's doing, and it sounds like what they might have on the docket is covering other cults that operate similarly, like taking a look at how these work, and you'll be having a conversation with somebody that kind of does that as a YouTube career. He just looks at cults and the way they operate and how a lot of these practices are very similar.
Well, we're going to have some on this show, but not right now because I still have people I'd like to get interviewed. Like Mark Hadley is coming up for an interview. There's another person down in Clearwater, a non-Scientologist.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just get a date set for him. And then there's another guy, I guess he was a kid when he was on Aftermath. He wrote to me and he'd like to be on. I'm going to have him on. But I will have other members of cults who have, left a cult and they can tell their story. But I can tell you this, the similarity, how different cults operate, and that includes the Church of Scientology, is alarming. Well, I don't know if that's the right word, but
it's proven.
It's proven.
It's proven to work. Yeah.
Yeah, it's proven to work. Yeah. And as I said earlier in this show, forget about the stainless steel handcuffs, the shackles for your legs. You don't need them if you can control a person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
You control a person's mind. They're trapped by their own self. Okay.
T. Feeney asks, why is the Ideal Org open in Ireland? The membership here is probably barely in double figures. The building has its own conference center and a huge property. Surely this wastes a fortune. Oh, it also removed from the general public football. Isn't it counterproductive to obtaining new members? So essentially, it sounds like, like you're saying, it's just a building with air in it.
And what's this guy's name?
T. Feeney.
Is he in Ireland?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, what you're saying, did people hear you when you say these things?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what Sean said that the person said is absolutely true. There, the entire people in Ireland, you could fit in a small bedroom and they'd have plenty of room to sleep there. So for them to build an org there is a public relations move, purely and simply to show, okay, now we've expanded into Ireland. This is something that David Miscavige, as the chairman of the board, can talk about at one of the events, saying, now we've opened up a new org in Ireland. We opened up a new org in New Zealand, and tell about all these openings just to prove his point, prove, quote, unquote, bullshit, in other words, that they're expanding. So that's used as a PR tool for what? Should I tell you what? To get money, to get people to donate.
Or the donators to continue. Those that
I mean, that's because they have whales, and these people are very successful in life. They've found their purpose. They probably had the purpose for a long time. They know what it takes to make money, and they make a lot of money. And they get in Scientology. It screws up your mind. You're convinced that what you're doing is going to save every man, woman, and child. So you keep the blinders on. Make sure you don't read anything that's negative about it, because you want to keep that faith, And these are the people that will contribute, $1 million, maybe $10 million. There's one guy, I think he's contributed so far over $40 million. That's a lot of money.
Jesus Christ, 40 million, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
And what do you get for it? I'll tell you what you get. This is the exchange. You get a piece of paper that says you're a great guy. That's a good deal. Here, I'll do it for $100,000. Give me $100,000. I'll write down you're a magnificent person. Here, you got the paper. I have the money. That is the operation, and they're good at it.
Yeah. Wow. Julie Marty writes, I read Jenna's book Beyond Belief. Is she your granddaughter?
She is absolutely my granddaughter. She's a great kid too. I say a kid. She's, I guess, in her 30s now, but I still look at her as a kid. Very affectionate. She has two beautiful little children. Just, they're great kids. Great. We visited them a year ago, and it's the first time I saw them since I got out of the cult. I was doing games with them, and I said, now, here's a $20 bill. If you can answer this question, you are going to win $20. That's it. It's a little Winnie. She was, I think, 4 years old at the time. She said to me, don't make the question too hard. They're just brilliant kids for their age, very precocious and good looking. So Jenna is my granddaughter. That's my son.
She's kind of stepped away a little bit, right? Like out of the spotlight and not really.
She's spending her time raising her children and just having a good time raising a family.
Yeah, I get that.
And I don't blame her. I mean, look at just that time goes fast, so enjoy them.
Right. Yeah, and that's the last thing you want is these bullies coming after you, because they do constantly.
When we visited them, there was a pickup truck that came and was looking in the house.
I had to, I actually reported another hate site on Facebook for you, because they made another one on Facebook for you. They made another one for Leah. And just childish insults, childish ways of behaving. And, when you look at their official marketing material, it's well produced. You can tell millions have gone into the messaging and the videos and all of that. But then if you look at their smear sites, it's like just like an 8-year-old wrote it. You know?
Well, there's a technical word for the condition they're in. You know that. There's a phrase, actually. I can tell you. Want to know it?
Sure.
Listen carefully, because you're not going to hear this too much, and pay attention to what I have to say. They're nuts.
Yeah. It's true.
There you go.
It's true.
It's the end.
But you would think with that kind of money, they'd at least be able to come after you professionally. It's all garbage.
No, you wouldn't think that if you know that they're nuts.
That's
true. That's the end of it.
It's true.
So listen, let me tell you something. You do not want to put anything out that you don't have the complete blessing of David. And they're just very careful when they do it, they have to write what they think he's going to enjoy, what he thinks is going to be proper. But in a final analysis, I already gave you their condition.
Yeah. Ferguson. That's pretty funny.
Ferguson. Yeah. That's wonderful. I knew a gentleman from England, a Scientologist. His name was Philip Phillips.
Yeah.
That's what you call non-creative naming.
Yeah, right.
Philip Phillips. They couldn't think of another name to go with Phillips, so they called him Philip Phillips.
That's hilarious. He says, that's my favorite host at the moment. Killing it. Listening.
Wait, say this again. Who's that? That's my favorite.
You. He's talking about you.
Oh,
listen to that voice made for radio. It's a talk show host voice. Am I right, guys? So he really likes your voice.
Well, I thank you very much. It was a nice compliment, and I appreciate that very much. I hope it's not an irritating voice, because then people, if there's an irritating voice, like if it's too high or whatever,
Yeah.
they'll turn you off. And I just want to make sure people get this information.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and not Justin made an interesting comment. He said, well, at least YouTube doesn't bankrupt you like Scientology. Now, I will say this. I have criticisms for YouTube, but I agree. For the most part, they have not messed with any of the ex-Scientologists, which I think is fantastic, and I think that's kudos to them. However, the whole thing with Alex Jones and how they deplatformed him and all this other stuff, it's always a little scary to me.
it is scary.
Yeah, with how big these platforms are. And I got to give them nothing but props for hosting you and Shelton and Tony and all the different shows. Aaron Smith Levin, and
I appreciate it, because it's a platform for me to get other people on to tell their story, and that's what I'm doing.
No, I don't like Alex Jones at all, but I think you let him talk, because
It's America.
Insane.
He's
insane.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah, right. If you would, or Nat D says, if you would have seen Leah's show while you were still in Scientology, what do you think your reaction would have been? Well, that's interesting.
That's a very good question,
That's an interesting
because
question, yeah.
I would have objected to it strenuously. Listen, when I was in the church, I will tell you, I was a card-carrying, Kool-Aid drinking promoter of Scientology. I would promote it anytime, any place, to anybody. I recruited people for the Sea Organization. I got people in Scientology. I made videos teaching people how to sell Scientology, actually how to sell anything. And I keep on, well, I mentioned it once before. One of these days, I'm probably going to do some type of seminar where I can give this information about sales, because it's marvelous the way it works. It's like 100% guaranteed you could sell something. I promoted that. I would have objected to her strenuously. I will say that is my honest answer.
Now, let me ask you this, and his follow-up was, do you think celebrity Scientologists and David watch it?
I think the celebs, if they watch it, are absolutely doing it on a QT. They wouldn't even tell their closest friends that they watched it. And they watched it with trepidation, because they figure maybe I won't go in for a security check for 6 months, so maybe I can just see this and then I'll have it buried in my mind, so the secret won't come out that I watched it.
Yeah.
And David watches them.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
He seems like such a narcissist that anything that's about him, he's going to watch. Like, I'm assuming he watched a Joe Rogan show.
Oh, I'm sure he did. Yeah. He watches all these, Yeah.
My question to you was kind of on his, building on his, was, how was it for you? When you were in, people like Tony Ortega, or any of the other people that have left and then started speaking out, the South Park guys, you name it. I'm sure when you were in, you had this, you were fed this information about them.
No. Listen, when I was in the last 26 and a half years, I was on staff. I didn't even know about these guys.
Oh, really? You didn't know about Tony?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Why? Listen, all the information about that is kept from you.
Really?
Don't forget, we didn't have access to the internet. Anything that said Scientology or David Miscavige, like, there were keywords that made up a filter. You could go on the internet to buy things, because they wouldn't let you go to a local Walmart or Target to buy like your underwear or toothpaste. You had to buy it at the company store, the canteen kind of, or you buy it on the internet. And anything that was said about Scientology or anything relating to it, you could not see it.
Well, what about the those that blew? You knew those that blew, so you were obviously fed the story of, oh, they're terrible people. What was the, like, when you got out, like, what was your mindset at that point for, like, someone that you knew that blew?
Well, someone that blew that I knew them personally. I'll give you an example. Like, Well, I can't think of an example now, but of a name, that is. But
Mhm.
if a person blew and I knew them, I thought, well, maybe they had a good reason to blow. I didn't
Okay.
think they were rats
Okay.
or they were traitors. I would think to myself, oh, I wonder what they knew or what their reason was. I would look at it very much from a pan determined. That it means I could see the wrong or the right in
Mhm.
something, or the left or the right, No, that was all kept from us. I did not know about these people.
Mm.
Look, I tell in the book, I didn't know that Annie Tidman had died until
Right.
I accidentally got on my Kindle that David bought me. Okay. So look, we're running up against a little time constraint here, so I'm going to have to pull the plug. And those of you who haven't gotten your question answered, who are waiting, save them up, because in a little while I'll do another one of these if you'd like it, and I hope you do. So to close, let me tell you, those of you who would like to help out in this endeavor, I invite you to become patrons, and I guarantee you're going to feel better just knowing that you helped in some way and you did something about it, and you are doing something about it by becoming a patron. And I appreciate it very much. Don't think to yourself, I'm flipping this off at you and just saying, oh, well, let's make some money. No, if you were to contribute to this, it's very much appreciated. So stay tuned and keep coming back. I'll have more interesting episodes for you. So until the next episode, I'm Ron Miscavige. This is Life After Scientology. See you later.